Bucknutters, welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, December 10th, 2018. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Bill Bank Greene. Bank, we're going to talk some recruiting. We're going to talk a little bit about the, Ryan Day promotion to head coach and just a little bit about Ryan Day as a recruiter. But let's start with just some of these 2019 recruits that everybody wants to know about. We'll start right at the top. Zach Harrison, you've been steadfast. You think he's going to be a Buckeye. Just give the listeners some insight. There's some talk that Ryan Day taking over Urban Meyer might actually help the Zach Harrison situation. Just give the listeners some insight on the Zach Harrison situation, where you think he's going to end up.
Yeah, I've stuck with Ohio State all the way, and that's in pencil, not in pen. But I don't know. I've never heard anything, and I've never been told anything that makes me think he's done to Michigan, like everybody thinks. I know there's the tidal wave of crystal ball picks to Michigan, and I didn't join in that. Either I'm the last guy to know the secret, or I don't know. I've always felt it was neutral all the way. I think the visit he took to Ohio State a couple days before the Michigan game, Ohio State felt really good about that. He came on his own. They didn't beg him. They didn't kidnap him. And everything seemed to go well that day. And then, you follow that up 3 days later, they beat the dog crap out of Michigan. And I think that had an effect on Zach. And I'm a guy that normally will say, as a rule, that one game never really means all that much in recruiting. But in this case, I think it did. And I think just from what I'm hearing is there could be just a little bit of embarrassment or reservation or just enough to make him think, is Michigan a national player, or is Michigan fighting to be third in the Big Ten East? And where are they going to be going forward? And I think that created a lot of doubt for Zach. And then, like I say, with the Urban Meyer, Ryan Day handoff, you've got the Harbaugh rumors. I don't think it means that much to Zach. I don't think head coach is going to play that big a part in this thing for Zach. I think it's more the assistant coaches that he has the relationships with. And he has a great relationship in Michigan with Al Washington. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Al Washington has put them in this game. But I just think Larry Johnson, tried and true, stay the course, the old steady hand here. I just am not going to bet against him on this one. And now the only thing would be if Zach is just – if his heart is set on getting away from home, and I've seen recruits like this that, I mean, they don't want to stay close to mom and dad. If his heart is dead set on not being 15 minutes from home, then there's probably not much Ohio State can do. I haven't been told this yet, but, like I say, I don't think anybody knows. I don't know that Zach knows this morning as he gets out of bed and goes to school. I don't know that he knows what school he's going to pick. But I'm sticking with Ohio State, and I'm sticking with Larry Johnson. I'll pull this one out for the Buckeyes, and we'll see where it ends up.
And Harry Miller, I know your forte is Ohio with a lot of Florida mixed in, but you follow every kid nationally too. I know you do, but Harry Miller obviously has been committed to Ohio State for a long time, number 2 center in the entire country, kid out of Georgia. What are you hearing about Harry Miller? You think he's going to stick with the Buckeyes?
I do. His mother's made some very pro-Ohio State statements. The only thing that would cause a little, trepidation would be I haven't heard anything from him yet about how he feels. And when the relationship is so strong between, like, mother and recruit, like it was in that one. That was an Urban Meyer special there. Much like Paris Johnson was pretty much Monica Johnson and Urban kind of locked that thing down. You hate to see that. You'd rather see the relationship be position coach and recruit. So that would be the only thing. Now, I know Harry Miller has a teammate committed to Florida, and I know the Gator staff kind of thought maybe there's a sliver of an opening here. They weren't all that confident, believe me, but they thought maybe we can jump in here and take a shot. So I would place that window at, like 1%, So I think Harry Miller is going to sign with Ohio State. And the thing I think everybody's missing is this next signing date is 9 days away. Okay, people still have it in their mind that February. No, it's 9 days away, and nobody has to sign in 9 days. But the guys that don't sign in 9 days, in my mind, are total free agents and totally, I don't care if you're committed. If you don't sign in 9 days, you're not committed. That's on paper only. So we'll see with Harry Miller. I think he's going to sign with Ohio State.
And same deal with Jordan Battle. Do you think Jordan Battle is going to stick with the Buckeyes?
Well, that's a tough one. That's been just a coin flip since Alabama kind of dug their heels into this one. And this was going to be a coin flip, even with Urban Meyer. You know, they were kind of, you know, they had some issues there, even with Urban, because he could never assure them, and rightfully so, that he was going to be there. Well, then when the decision came out that he's leaving, everyone assumed that would be, you know, that would be the death knell for Jordan Battle, and he would go to Alabama. But I think the clarity there really helped in this case. Now they know. They know exactly what they're dealing with. And in recruiting, for the parents and the recruits, they hate uncertainty. They hate it. Now they know. They know it's Ryan Day. He hasn't been down there yet for his home visit, but I'll tell you, something happened last week on the home visit. You know, it was brilliant the way they did it, and I don't know if they did it on purpose. I'm going to give them credit that they did. But Alex Grinch and Taver Johnson both sat down with Jordan, and they each took their position, safety and corner, and they detailed how Jordan fits. You know, Taver's like, this is how you fit with me on the corner, and Grinch was like, well, this is what you're going to do if you end up playing safety. And it was brilliant the way they presented that. It really helped. I mean, and that may have won the deal here, even without Ryan Day. Has not even been there yet. So when he makes his in-home this week, my feeling is he's coming there to protect the lead rather than going there, you know, down 5-0 in the ninth inning and you need a grand slam and a 2-run shot, you know. So I think they're in good shape for Jordan Battle. And I think as long as Ryan Day doesn't totally blow it on the in-home, and this guy's a great recruiter, he's not going to blow it on the in-home, I think they're going to get Jordan Battle. It's close. It's tight. You know, you never want to go against Nick Saban in these deals. You'd rather be going against someone else. But I think Ohio State's going to get Jordan Battle.
And the last two kids I'll ask you about commitments, and then we'll move on to non-commitments, or at least kids that aren't committed to Ohio State that maybe Ohio State will flip. But everybody wants to know about Cade Stover, Doug Nestor. I read what you wrote. I mean, I'm not going to take the words out of your mouth. Just tell the listeners about, you know, what you're hearing about Cade Stover and Doug Nestor.
Yeah, with Cade, I've known him so long, and this is a country boy. You know, one day he couldn't do an interview because he and his dad were delivering a calf. Yesterday I talked to him. He did the interview from a tractor. He was working. You know, this is not a slick diva recruit Nick who knows how to play the game and knows how to play the reporters. That's not this kid, okay? So I take him at his word, where some of these recruits, everything they say, you know, I don't believe one word of it. And because they know what they're doing and they know how to play the game. This kid doesn't care about the game. So I take him at his word. He has a great relationship with Billy Davis. And Ryan Day and Bill Davis were there last night. And I think whatever doubt might have been in Cade's mind, he reads the Internet. He sees that, you know, everybody wants Bill Davis fired. Well, I can tell you that kid doesn't want Bill Davis fired. And this is going to be a tricky issue for Ohio State. And, I mean, the typical way to play it, and the way every school in America would play it, is you tell Cade Stover that no decisions will be made on personnel. We still have a game to play. We're trying to win this Rose Bowl. This is a big game. It's Ryan Day's first job, you know, all on and on. You tell him no decisions are going to be made until after that game. And then, you know, hopefully he signs in 9 days, and then you deal with what you have to deal with, you know, after the Rose Bowl. Now, Cade could wait them out, not sign in 9 days, and wait till early February. And by then, I would think the coaching staff would be settled. He can do that. That is well within his right. So we'll see what happens. My feeling is that, you know, Ryan Day showing up to home last night. Cade doesn't really know Ryan that well, you know. So I think everything's going to be fine there. I think he's going to sign in 9 days, and then you kind of see what happens with this coaching staff going forward. I mean, to me, it's impossible for me to see this whole group coming together for one more run next year. I don't see that. don't have any insight on this, but, boy, I just don't think they bring the whole band to get back next year as the way it stands now.
No, I know it'll be tough for Ryan David. You know, as you said in your piece, I mean, this is why he's now the head man. This is why he's getting paid the big bucks, is to make decisions like this. And I just, you know, Bill Davis is a nice guy. I've talked to him. Like, he's a generous guy with his time. He seems like a genuinely nice guy. I just,
right.
being said, I think Ohio State needs to move on from him, and hopefully Cade Stover. I think it helps a lot, as you know, that Cade's an Ohio kid, and I love the story about he had to he was delivering a calf, so he had to call off a recruiting meeting. That is awesome right there. But so I feel good about that. But at least Cade's staying with Ohio State. But I feel like even if they get rid of Bill Davis, but I do feel like they got to get rid of Bill Davis though, Bank.
But I don't think this will happen in the next 9 days. And you're not going to tell
No, I agree.
And you would not tell this kid, hey, we are going to fire Bill Davis after the bowl game. Don't say anything to anyone. They're not going to do that. I mean, that's just not how it's done. The answer would be we're going to look at all personnel, everyone. We're going to look at from top to bottom of this organization after the bowl game. Our season's not over yet. After the season is when you make evaluations. And that's what you tell them, and you let the cards fall where they fall.
And then Nick Broeker, a name that's busted on the scene recently, obviously committed to Ole Miss, kid from Springfield, Illinois, visiting Ohio State this coming weekend, I believe, on an official visit. Just what do you think is going to end up happening with Nick Broeker?
Well, if it was any other position group, I would say with 1,000,000% certainty he's going to flip to Ohio State. I mean, he was at Ole Miss Friday, Saturday on his official visit there. He's committed to Ole Miss. Conventional wisdom tells you that Ole Miss told that kid, hey, call the airport and cancel that trip to Ohio State right now. You're staying with us. We love you. You love us. No reason to take that visit. You're signing with us in 9 days. Glad you're not going to Ohio State. So we'll even call the airport and cancel that trip for you. That did not happen. He left 48 hours with his committed school and headed right to another school. Well, in recruiting, that's usually game over for the committed school. In this case, because he's an offensive lineman, and the way offensive line recruiting is going, I've got Broeker flipping to Ohio State. But, with a little trepidation there, if he was a linebacker, DN, quarterback, running back, I'd tell you it's done. I mean, Ohio State has made a living in this instance, in the past 5 or 6 years. It's an automatic. Well, because it's O-line, nothing's automatic anymore. I mean, this is a year where you see, multiple in-state O-linemen with Ohio State offers saying no thanks. So now you're trying to flip a kid from Illinois. He is a Midwest kid. He's not a kid from the South. This should be a slam dunk for Ohio State, and I think they're going to get him. But a little bit of trepidation and concern there.
And Cavon Butler, first of all, I don't know. I love knowing exactly how to pronounce names. Is it Cavon or Cavon Butler? Then I'll ask you the other question.
I've always called him Cavon. He's 6'3", 290. He hasn't forcefully changed that for me. So I always call him Cavon. So
okay, cool. You would know. So Cavon Butler.
A couple of years. Yeah, that's where I'm going with. And then, like I say, next time I see him and he grabs me around the throat and says, you've been saying my name wrong for 2 years, then I'll know I messed up. But, what I think's going on there, I think there's some – he took his official visit a couple weeks ago. And what they told him coming out of that visit was, hey, go ahead, take all your visits. Take your time with this. Don't rush into anything. And that's normally not what they tell people. There's some academic issues here, but I'm being told from people in the school that is all being cleared up. The ACT score is good. The GPA now has been raised. I think everything's good there. I think they're kind of waiting to see just what happens with Devon Ellis, Harrison Hunt. I mean, they've got some other ones there, and I think they know they can get Cavon. Whenever they turn that light from red to green, I think they're going to get him. So, barring a miracle where they get the other two D tackles and there wouldn't be room, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Cavon Butler will be in this class, but I think they're kind of kind of holding him off a little bit right now.
All right, now, just completely switching gears, and we'll get like more into like him as a recruiter in a second. But Ryan Day taking the job as head coach, what were your initial thoughts? Have they changed? Just him being promoted to head coach without them doing a national search.
Well, I got it. The program has been amazing. You know, the past under Urban, it has been. You know, you look at that record, and it's either 82 wins or 85 wins, 9 losses, and it's unbelievable. So the recruiting has been great. So the thought process, I think, between the Ohio State Brain Trust was, let's try to keep as much as we can keep as it is today. That's what we want to do. We want continuity, and how do we achieve that? Well, it's not by bringing in Matt Campbell, who brings in a total different philosophy, a different scheme, a different group of assistants. Everything would change. And so I think if this time it was just a straight handoff from Urban to Ryan Day, and you keep everything at Ohio State the way it is last week, 2 weeks ago, you keep everything as much as possible the same. So I get where they were coming from. It's a gamble. I mean, it's a little bit of a risk there, but, you know, aside from Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, and they're not coming to Ohio State. Aside from them, I don't know who the slam dunk hire is. You know, I mean, there's a little bit of risk with everyone. And in this case, I think just continuity won out over going to get the hot young guy. And I get it. I get where they're coming from. And I think Ryan Day is ready to be a head coach. Now, is he ready for the big chair at Ohio State? We're going to find out. I mean, that's a leap from having never done it before. And I've seen 20-year assistant coaches who've learned under the best, and they crumble when they get the big chair. So we'll see. I understand why they did it totally. I think it probably was the right move. We're not going to know that when we have this conversation 2 years from today. We're going to know a lot more. But I'm pretty optimistic about Ryan, to tell you the truth. I think his time has come to be a head coach. And, you know, whether it's Bowling Green, Virginia Tech, you know, it's going to be Ohio State. He was trained by, you know, a micromanager, a detail-oriented guy. So, you know, I'm excited for him. He is a really good guy. Ryan Day is a really good guy. And, you know, you like to see people like this succeed.
Very well said, and I'm on board with this 100%. Now, I hope this is not just me talking myself into it, because just to let everybody behind the curtain here of how wishy-washy I am, I'll admit I said, listen, if Ryan Day's the guy, that's fine, but you got to conduct a national search. That's what I was saying, like, when this all started there was rumors out there. Let's just say they're true, and it ended up being true, that they're, you know, at least positioning him to be the guy to take over for Urban Meyer. That's fine, but make sure you leave no stone uncovered. They didn't do that. And if you believe Gene Smith, he kind of did, but he didn't have any formal interviews.
No.
Yeah, I think that's just him trying to save face right there. Ryan Day was the guy. But you make a great point, and I've said this as well. If you bring in Matt Campbell, who I like and you like as well, then you lose Mark Pantoni, then you lose Mickey Marotti, who are the best at what they do in the country. And, you know, and I do believe Ryan Day has the it factor. So I hope this is not just me talking myself into it, but I agree with you that, you know, I'm on board with Ryan Day taking over this program. I think he'll do well. Before I let you go, I know we're going long here. As a recruiter, I know it's so early, but what do you anticipate? What kind of recruiter is Ryan Day? Just what do the listeners need to know about Ryan Day, the recruiter?
Well, he did really well his 2 years, you know, in his previous role as an assistant coach. He was a darn good recruiter. People really like him, and that's like half the battle in recruiting. You know, if you can get people to like you right off the jump, and then the proof is going to be in the pudding. And so far, there has not been a mass exodus. You know, there were a couple of those juniors that have decommitted. I think they can get both of them back. You know, I'm not sure I would want one. One I probably would want back. But you know, you didn't lose Harry Miller automatically. You didn't get eliminated by Jordan Battle. You didn't see Zach Harrison commit to Michigan right on the spot. So I think Ohio State really achieved what they wanted to achieve in the continuity. So nothing's really changed in recruiting from 3 weeks ago when Urban was still the head coach. So, Ryan Day is a good recruiter, and, I think he's going to be a good face of the program. At the end of the day, this is about winning, and we're a long way from knowing how he's going to do in that aspect. But, when the rubber meets the road, your one-loss record will determine, all this nice, he's a nice guy and he's ready and he's an offensive mind and he's all that goes out the window when you pop out a few 8-4s and 7-5s, and then all that goodwill is gone. So what we've seen from Ryan from his first day at Ohio State to today, extremely positive. But, you got to look at that one-loss record after a couple of years, and then you'll know how positive things are.
This was a solid edition of the Bucknuts Morning 5 times 4 and then some. Great stuff from Bill Bank Greene. Bill posts his bank blog a few times a week. It is must-read material, so make sure you become a Bucknuts subscriber if you're not already. The bank blog is must-read material. Appreciate your time on the Morning 5 here, Bank. I appreciate all the listeners out there for tuning in. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.